you want to look in our wardrobe area? We can probably find you a lighter weight jacket.
Let's just keep this jacket on me and take the photograph sooner rather than later.
We actually wanted to get a picture of you from the printing press, and then the portrait.
Is that from the 1920s?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, so let's skip it and move on over to this yellow thing, all right?
Would you mind standing?
What is this for?
Could you open it as though you're reading, then look at me again?
I don't want to do that.
Why?
Well, it's a poor idea. Why would I be standing up with my jacket buttoned reading?
It's just a prop.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think it presents a very false depiction of me. I'd much rather this picture at least seem honest. You know, Tolkien wouldn't allow himself to be photographed writing because he didn't allow anybody to watch him work. Same idea here, just slightly modified to suit me. Philip.
That's a clip from Listen Up, Philip. I'm delighted to say we've been joined by Jason Schwartzman, who joins us from which studio are you in, Jason?
Studio City Sound.
Where's that then?
In Studio City, California.
Oh, in California. How is it in California today?
It's wonderful. It's actually a bit gray and drizzly, but it's very beautiful, and it's a great day to be talking to you. How is it over there?
Well, it's always fabulous in the UK. The weather is always blisteringly warm, and it's a terrific place to be, and beats California hands down every day.
10 out of 10 times.
Okay, that'll do. So I think people will have heard just from that little clip about the character that you play. The Philip in question is Philip Lewis Friedman. He's a tricky person. Tell us what we need to know about Philip.
Well, Philip is a young writer who's successful and is on the verge of an even greater success. He's coming out with his second book, and basically he's a guy who is mishandling the sort of minor fame that he has. He's not making the best decisions, and by that I mean he's not acting very kindly to people, and he's the type of person that, I don't know if you know anyone like this, but the type of person that if you were, let's say, having some friends over for dinner, you might think twice about inviting Philip, because he might do better like kind of in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, and probably not very well.
He might. He runs the risk of possibly offending some of your dinner guests.
Yeah, I think you're treating him quite nicely, actually, Jason. I mean, when I was watching, I wrote self-obsessed, vain, selfish, and cruel.
That's what I was basically saying. What you just. That's what. No, it's true. And when I read the script, my reaction was exactly what your reaction was,
yes.
Which is, as I was reading it, in fact, I had to keep putting down the script because this character is so extreme, and he's so, he is quite cruel to people. It almost was like claustrophobic reading the script. There was never a moment that he let up. But of course, I think that's what makes the movie also funny. But it wasn't until it was over that I actually started laughing. While I was reading it, I was very uncomfortable. And I just, I only know one person in my life who sort of acts like this, and it's very stressful to be around that person. And so watching the movie it's funny and a bit anxiety-causing, because this guy is he's very self-obsessed, and he's a jerk.
Yeah, but why is he like this? Because, as you said, it's not as though he's had no fame or no success at all. Or maybe it's just the fact he's had a little bit of success and it's kind of warped him. I don't know. Why is he the way he is?
Well, it's a good question, but I think that it's complicated, and I think that he in the beginning of the movie, we have a narrator who says that this is new to Philip, acting this way and giving people a piece of his mind. So that was one thing that when we were shooting the movie that I was always trying to consider, was that Philip, maybe his whole life, has felt a lot of these ways inside, but has kept it in. And so we're kind of meeting this character at a moment when maybe because of the little fame that he's had, or, who knows why, he's starting to really let people have it, and be more straightforward. And, as much as he's this jerk and this guy who really is, unafraid to make people feel uncomfortable, one thing that I liked about playing the part was just that, he's honest. And I've played I've played some people who are not quite nice before, but it's always because of those movies and what the director wanted. It was always sort of couched in a little bit of passive aggressiveness, and there was something nice about playing this character because he's just very direct. So even though he is not nice, he is giving you the truth, at least the way he sees it. And that's sort of what I had to latch on to, I guess, when we were doing the movie. And in terms of like likability, because that was one thing I was thinking about when I first read it. I was like, well, this guy is so unlikable. Is there a way to make him likable? And I think that was the wrong way to be thinking about it. And really that became evident when I was talking to the director about it and saying, should we make him likable in some way? Should we take the foot off the gas a little? And any attempt to do that really did start to make him seem passive aggressive, because we're kind of like putting a fake smile on top of this really damaged type of person, and it was resulting in almost something worse, which is like fake nice. And so that's sort of what I dug about Philip. The acting of it was that he's a guy who really doesn't care what people think.
And when you're being cruel and self-obsessed and vain and selfish, you're doing it primarily to Ashley, who's your girlfriend, played by Elizabeth Moss, and Jonathan Pryce, who plays Ike, who's the other kind of... he's been a very successful writer, but he's sort of on hard times. And so you've known Elizabeth Moss for quite some time. Is it true that you actually felt as though you had to go and apologise to her on set after you'd been, treating her so badly?
Yeah, well, I try to be a good person and a stand-up gentleman, and
but it's acting, Jason.
It's acting, but still, well, what happened was like, we're doing these scenes, and a lot of the scenes that I have with her are. They are fighting scenes. They're brutal, but not not aggressive and not a lot of yelling. They're sort of just brutal in their kind of loneliness, I suppose. And in a few of the takes, she would start crying, and it wasn't scripted that she would cry. And I just remember I was, I'm trying to, in these scenes, do my best to like her, but of course not like her. In real life, I love her, and doing these scenes, and I start to see these tears welling up in her eyes, and I'm supposed to be a hard ass, and I just start to see that little shine coming in, and I was thinking, don't do this to me, Elizabeth, don't you do this, don't you melt me.
But she's seen the script, Jason, so she knows.
I know, but it just started to happen. And I started to get really freaked out that perhaps I had done something or unexpectedly that triggered something. I felt very nervous that I had, in real life, injured my friend, because we had done numerous takes where there was no crying, and then all of a sudden we just did one, and I think maybe I was extra mean, and she started to cry, and I felt terrible.
Compare working with you mentioned the director who you're working with, who wrote the script, Alex Ross Perry. Compare his script with a Wes Anderson script, and how you deal with it, because you've been in lots of Wes's movies. I think he has very detailed scripts. Was it the same with Alex Ross? Was it different?
They actually are very similar writers in a way. Both extremely detailed, and I would say that both share a quality, which is that, I've read all different types of scripts, and, some people even write scripts that are more just like little treatments, and just kind of describing what they hope to do, which is awesome too. So I think there's different versions, but both Wes and Alex really write a script that is meant to be read. So even if there was no movie, it would still be a pleasurable reading experience, which you can't say about a lot of scripts. So there, like, a lot of care clearly went into the script of Listen Up, Philip, for instance. Like, a lot, it read more like a book. It was very long. I think it was like 156 pages or something, which is abnormally long. I mean, most scripts I read are between 100 and 110 pages, so this was much longer. But both of them write extremely detailed stuff. I would say that the difference would be that maybe Wes describes a bit more of what the camera might do sometimes, or what we might be seeing. And Alex writes a lot of detail about the emotion of what's going on sometimes. That's even odd emotional details or just personal facts about the character that we as an audience will never see in the movie. For instance, there's a scene in the movie where there's a party happening in a library. That's a book party or something, I forget, but Alex goes for a page describing what the room looks like and the books that are on the shelves and what kind of food is being served, and then at the end of all of it, it says, and today is Philip's birthday. But you never know that it's Philip's birthday. We never say it's his birthday, and so that's just for me to know that today is his birthday. That's an example of an odd detail that most writers wouldn't necessarily put in a script.
I've got some listeners' questions for you, Jason. Ben Keeler says, will we get a true end to your HBO show Bored to Death? And do you have anything else lined up with Alex Ross Perry or indeed Wes Anderson? So you've got two questions there. Loads of people ask you about Bored to Death. What's the story there?
Well, so Bored to Death ended obviously abruptly and sadly. But HBO has been in discussions with Jonathan Ames to do a movie of it. But I'm always hesitant to say that it's happening because in this business, it seems like one day something can be happening and the next day it can just disappear. So I never want to say, it's happening, because then it just, you get your hopes up. But I do know that Jonathan is in talks with them and is also writing a script. So whether or not it will actually be made, who can say? But I know that a script is being written.
Stuart Yates has a question. What's your favourite Jason Statham movie?
Interesting. Interesting question.
You can
Transporter?
Transporter, okay. That's very good. Jason, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us today.
This was really fun. I really appreciate it. I wish we had a show like this in America.
Well, if you put a few contacts together and put a budget proposal, Mark
I just got into a BBC Master Tapes podcast and the Desert Island Discs. I just discovered those.
Yeah, they're both pretty good, but not quite as good as this one. But anyway,
no, it's true. But how great is it that it all exists
and it's free, and you don't even pay a license fee, so you should be doubly blessed.
I know. I'm sorry.
Jason Schwartzman, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Have a great day.